They are brutal, they are fanatical, and we're going to have to fight to defeat them. And we will do that when it is, as I said, the optimal time. All I can tell you and your listeners is it will be soon.
The Americans carried out airstrikes on bases in Syria operated by the Iranian army. We can now speak to Mark Regev, who's a spokesperson for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and a former Israeli ambassador to the UK. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
I don't expect you to obviously to tell the world, tell everyone listening when you're going to proceed with this ground invasion. But what are the current factors that you are weighing up?
Well, we want to succeed, and we will obviously pick the optimum time for us to launch our ground intervention. Unfortunately, we'd like to be able to tell you that Hamas is ready to give up and surrender and dismantle their military machine, and it could all be done already, but that's not true. They are brutal, they are fanatical, and we're going to have to fight to defeat them. And we will do that when it is, as I said, the optimal time. All I can tell you and your listeners is it will be soon.
Joe Biden said yesterday that Israel must do everything in its power, everything, to protect civilians. Are you?
Yes, our policy is as follows. We're going to pursue the campaign against Hamas relentlessly. We're going to dismantle their military machine and destroy their political control over Gaza. And at the same time, in parallel, we'll make every effort possible to safeguard Gaza's civilian population, who we do not see as a target of our operation. On the contrary, we're making every effort to see them relocate to zones outside where we expect there to be fighting. We don't want to see them caught up in the crossfire between the Israeli Defense Forces and the Hamas terrorists.
And yet, according to the Gaza Health Ministry, and I know you may dispute their figures, but I have to put it out there anyway, they say that up to 7,000 people, Palestinians, have died so far.
Well, you know, we have one documented case, which was the case of the hospital in northern Gaza that they accused us of bombing. And in the end, it was proven, I think, conclusively that it wasn't us. It was a stray rocket of theirs. But at the time, they said 500, 800 casualties. Now, we know for a fact there are far less. In fact, the European intelligence services told AFP, the news agency, that they think maybe up to 50 casualties. So that's 10% of the numbers that Hamas is putting out. Now, I don't dispute that there's been damage and people have been hurt and killed in Gaza, but I think we have to take their numbers with an extreme grain of salt.
The UN, possibly not your favourite people right now, say that they do support the Gaza Health Ministry's death toll in the territory.
I know, they're the only numbers they have, and the UN organizations, because they're working inside what is ultimately an authoritarian theocracy there in Gaza, they have no choice but to work with the Hamas government, because that is they're the only people in Gaza with guns who can control what goes on the ground. So I understand all the humanitarian groups have to work with those authorities, but we have to understand that they have no choice. Gaza is not a democracy. There is no independent civil society in Gaza. All the people being interviewed on Western media, that we hear them, they won't speak against Hamas because they know that they will face retribution if they speak out against the party line. That's the unfortunate reality of Gaza.
Can we talk about the hostages now? Am I right in saying that the number that you think there are is 229? Is that right?
That's the number after having 4 released. But yes, that's the number.
And Hamas say that 50 have already died. Is that including or excluding that number?
So we are not confirming that. We don't know that to be true. We think that could well be psychological warfare to discourage us from continuing to hit their military machine. There's been no evidence shown of that. Once again, I think that's more psychological warfare, and the Israeli call is the same as the call of the British government and the US government and governments across the world. Those hostages need to be released immediately and unconditionally. And pending that, they should all be visited by the Red Cross. The Red Cross itself has asked to visit those kidnappees, is that a word? Kidnappees or people abducted. And of course, Hamas refuses to allow Red Cross visits.
We're going to be speaking to the mother of a 19-year-old hostage. He's an IDF soldier. He's just 19 and he's believed to be one of the one of the hostages. We're going to speak to his mother on this programme. What kind of, if any, assurances can you give people like her that you will be able to get her son out alive and unharmed?
So I can't promise to succeed, obviously, because her son is being held by a brutal terrorist organization, and everyone saw on October 7th what these people are capable of. I can assure her, though, that the government of Israel will make every effort possible to bring about the release of all the hostages